Hello, good morning, everybody. I first of all wanted to make sure that you can hear me. If you do not, please just let us know by typing on the dedicated area that you will see on your screen. So with this said, I wanted to thank you for taking time to join our webinar, where we will go through this interesting piece of technology we define as a GroomerII gateway. I will not be the only one to talk today. Actually, it will be very short. There will be other people that are much more aware of the technology than myself, such as Ian Colville and David Grant. Well, people here call me the Chief Minister of Funny Walks, but in reality, as a way of living, I'm taking care of a very vast area where you may already know from the talks that we had individually with some of you. It's stretching from, Calais all the way to the Middle East and many other countries. And then Ian is probably the most competent guy in the organization in dealing with this particular piece of technology. Is the product manager that knows inside out what the past, present, and probably future of this product will be. And then we have one of our technical gurus in the pre-sales team, David Grant, that probably some of you already had been experiencing communication for other products or technologies that he will go through some case studies. Before handing the presentation to them, I just wanted to give you a few highlights on our company, what do we do, what we are, and so on. We are a privately owned company. We haven't been bought by anybody, and we haven't bought anybody yet. Never know what's happening in the future in this industry, but so far so good. For 35 long years, we've been operating in this environment with different type of technologies, many more than what you will hear today discussing, but we can come back into that in other occasions. As you may realize, we are a UK-based operation. We have subsidiaries at the moment in the United States, but everything that you will see, it has been designed, conceived, manufactured here in England. We operate across the world via an extensive channel of indirect sales organizations, such as yourself, in the countries that you are, where you have local familiarity with the environment that you're dealing with. And our approach is supporting your organization at best with technical and marketing tools. We offer a comprehensive range of gateways. Today, you will see the high end of this product range, and enabling technology development tools that come in different forms that are for sure of your interest if you are in this industry, and you can learn more by looking at our website into the prosody or cloud areas. But we're not going to distract your attention today, and I will hand over the presentation of the device to Ian Colville.
Okay, what I thought I'd do is by giving you a slide to show you the basic design concept of Groomer. So essentially, we're going to start with the two tin cans and a piece of string model. I guess you'll recognize that from the early days of telephony, no doubt. But what happens when there's a break in the string? So the gap in the string that we've got here represents the idea that we've got two disparate networks unable to intercommunicate. So if you imagine the Campbell soup tin being on an SS7 network and the Heinz beans tin being located on a SIP network. So the obvious solution is to tie a knot in the string such that calls can flow through the knot towards the intended destination, where the receiving entity can decide on how to respond to the call and send that response in the backward direction towards the calling party. So what we did is we packaged all that functionality that's tied up in the knot, and we put it into a box, and we called it GroomerII. And the great thing about GroomerII is that you can interconnect multiple disparate network and media types simultaneously, all at the same time. Simple, isn't it? So the design of Groomer presents a variety of essential administration or management functions to the user or administrator, each with their own login credentials. Essential functions like reporting and logging, like call data record, like SS7 signaling link activation, like maintenance blocking of bearer channels, backup and restore, etc. All of these essential functions are accessible to an administrator or a user via the GroomerII user interface. So for things like initial installation and configuration, or for ongoing maintenance and administration purposes, or if you just want to reconfigure a new signaling protocol on a trunk port, or in fact, everything you need to control the operation of your gateway is presented through a straightforward, intuitive user interface. And to make it even easier, David and his colleagues can provide training for all new users. I said we packaged it up in a box and called it GroomerII. Well, here's a representation of all the cogs and gears inside the box. I've shown it with two interfaces because its basic function is to accept an inbound call on one network and initiate an outbound call on another. And it joins together the voice path between the caller on the one hand and the called party on the other. And bingo, we have interoperability. What goes on inside the box? Well, quite a lot actually. There are lots of functions inherent in GroomerII, which is why we describe it as an adaptable problem solver. It's designed to solve network incompatibility problems. Some examples of the interface options are shown here, on the left or on the right. GroomerII acts as a protocol converter for signaling, SS7 to SIP, for example. And there's a media gateway on the voice path, TDM to RTP, for example. GroomerII offers seamless interconnectivity, primarily using standards-based voice network interworking. Applicable standards include the Q series, for example, Q1912.5 for SS7 to SIP interworking, and IETF RFCs such as 3398 and 3325. GroomerII offers a rich set of operating features. So this is what's going on inside the box when the cogs are turning. The Groomer application includes an integrated call manager with a range of practical and dynamic call routing options. In addition, as you may already appreciate, it handles protocol interworking between, say, SS7 and SIP. It also takes care of low-level stuff, such as call progress tone generation, the network tones you hear during call setup, for example. And it takes care of mapping telephone network alarms between the inbound and the outbound network. In terms of protocol interworking, there are many configurable options inherent in GroomerII, some of which are shown here, some of which David will cover in detail in his section on case studies later. In terms of call routing, this is one of GroomerII's great strengths. Calls are routed on a per-call basis, with routing decisions made on a range of protocol and system-wide configurations. You can configure routing based on CLI and DDI, source and destination, trunks and trunk groups, go and no-go lists, on a multitude of attributes, such as sum addressing, and on low-level protocol parameters or indicators, such as nature of address and service indicator code or bearer code, as well as performing number translation and number portability, otherwise known as DDI substitution. The world of telephony is changing, as I'm sure you would all agree. It's changing from TDM to SIP, and it's changing at a pace. In fact, for well over 5 years, there's been no manufacturer that has conducted development on TDM. It's all been SIP. However, modern VoIP networks with SIP trunks still need to interoperate with legacy public switched telephony networks. GroomerII is extremely cost-effective on all counts, driving convergence and helping to reduce costs whilst maintaining exceptional service quality. GroomerII is fully featured, delivering the functionality you need to meet your customers' requirements and providing a transparent end-to-end path for the delivery of voice. GroomerII allows carriers to realize the cost and performance benefits of integrating into an SS7 network. A key point about GroomerII is that it enables interworking between disparate telecommunications networks. That means networks running different signaling protocols with different types of media payload. If you look at the cartoon, it's a bit like an American talking to a Frenchman. One is talking feet and the other is using meters. In reality, one would be talking T1 robbed bit, while the other would be speaking ISDN or VN6, or one is talking SS7 and the other converses in SIP. One is looking to exchange A-law PCM encoded data from a TDM network, while the other has only an RTP codec to offer UDP or TCP on an IP network. So if it wasn't for a device like GroomerII, communication between the two would be impossible. It combines signaling and media gateway functions in a standalone appliance, interworking signaling and voice media in the same unit. The keywords to think about in relation to GroomerII are interworking, interoperability, interconnectivity, and intercommunication. So GroomerII is designed to solve your voice network interoperability problems. Unlike other gateways, which can be likened to Swiss chocolate, GroomerII doesn't melt under pressure. GroomerII is hard-edged and practical. It has been called the Swiss Army knife of gateways because it offers more than one interworking option. It enables you to unfold several different tools, as you will recollect from earlier slides. You can also look on GroomerII as a sticking plaster for your network problems. It heals the wounds in your network, restoring it to operational health, making it work again. GroomerII is a deployment-proven solution with many critical installations worldwide. It has, for example, been deployed as part of an air traffic control system, and certainly for emergency services. I'll tell you more about that later when he will take you through several case studies. But the point is, GroomerII has been proven in practice to be reliable and resilient for such critical purposes. GroomerII uniquely offers operational routing resilience features, such as outgoing SIP load balancing to multiple endpoints and outgoing SIP call failover to single or group endpoints. GroomerII also has TDM fallback support if all SIP routes fail, on which David will also provide more detail in subsequent slides. GroomerII can be readily configured for a variety of applications, such as hosted IP-based service platforms, contact center switches, IP-based emergency services functional elements, communications manager, and PBXs with disparate TDM or IP interfaces, etc., etc. As such, GroomerII enables the extension of legacy networks towards IP-based solutions and added value services. That means it is ideal for interworking legacy networks with application platforms located in next-generation IP networks. If you think about it, all those cost-effective, feature-rich, SIP-based contact center platforms still need to respond to subscribers calling from legacy PSTN networks. There remains a significant percentage of the 7 billion people in the world who make calls from fixed or landline phones. GroomerII is designed to make interoperability happen, which helps to bring those people together, whatever language their phone systems speak, MFCR2, T1 rob bit, ISDN, SS7, or SIP. It's all the same to Groomer. Where other gateways fail, you can rely on Groomer to solve your voice network interconnectivity problems. As has been stated already, GroomerII supports SIP and SS7, in addition to a large number of CAS and ISDN protocols, such as T1 rob bit, MFCR2 CAS, and Euro ISDN. All call control protocols supported by Groomer are available for configuration in each system. The protocol stacks used by Groomer are Aculab's intellectual property and have been deployment proven worldwide. In that context, GroomerII's interconnect pedigree is second to none. GroomerII is optimized for SS7 to SIP interworking as per applicable standards. Note that, unlike some gateways, there are no additional licensing costs for either SIP or SS7 stack layout. That applies also to signaling links. You can configure all the links you need for no extra cost. Note also that there are no surprise licensing costs for any feature. You get full access to all system features on every box, and all features are available on all stands. This simple slide shows you some of the organizations that have made use of GroomerII over the years. There are some well-known names presented here, including BT, Deutsche Telekom, and Vodafone on the right-hand side, which shows some of our carrier customers. You will no doubt recognize many of these logos and appreciate that they are of customers from all points around the world. The logos on the left-hand side are of system integrators, equipment manufacturers, we used to call them TEMs, and solution providers, someone like yourselves. There are some equally well-known names absent from this list, but you can put their absence down to commitments and non-disclosure. The evolution of GroomerII derives from industry specifications and customer-led changes through software development and the addition of features and functionality to meet market needs. New functionality is always added to core versions, while upgrades and enhancements are offered by an annual software support agreement. Following on the theme of the last slide, this slide gives an illustration of where GroomerII has been deployed. You can see that GroomerII appears in many global worldwide locations, as I mentioned before. That certainly gives credibility to my statement about our protocol stacks being independently deployment proven. In terms of interoperability programs, GroomerII has been tested by various organizations, including PD and Siemens, now Unify, and through Avaya's DevConnect program. But the most important interoperability test is being field proven, and that is certainly the case with GroomerII, which has an excellent interconnect pedigree. It is a carrier-grade product that can be used to drive convergence and supercharge signaling and media interconnection in service provider and enterprise environments. So now I'm going to hand over to David Grant, and he's here to tell you a little bit more about Groomer in some detail and on some more technical aspects through some case studies. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. So we've seen what Aculab GroomerII is and what features it can offer. We're now going to run through a number of real-world case studies where GroomerII has been used. These case studies can be broken down into two categories. Firstly, standard deployments. These are deployments which use an off-the-shelf GroomerII gateway. And secondly, enhanced deployments. These are deployments where initially GroomerII did not meet the customer's needs, but via our change request process, we were able to add additional features to the gateway to meet their needs. So as I said, looking at standard deployment. As mentioned, in such deployments, no additional engineering effort was required by Aculab to meet the customer's needs. The gateway just required configuration prior to deployment. For such deployment scenarios, Aculab's professional services team are able to provide all services right through from configuration, installation, and commissioning, as well as full customer training. Training can cover everything from installing and configuring through to fault finding and remote monitoring. This enables you as a customer to both install units as well as handle ongoing support and maintenance. In this first case study, a major mobile telecoms provider required connectivity between their new Avaya contact center platform and their core SS7 network. They also simultaneously required connectivity between their PSTN outbound dialer platform and the same core SS7 network. The use of multiple GroomerII gateways deployed across multiple sites enabled them to achieve the connectivity between all three disparate networks, providing them with the redundancy and high port density required for their solution. So in this diagram, we see a number of GroomerII gateways in the middle, providing redundant SS7 signaling connectivity to the SS7 exchanges on the left, which themselves provide connectivity to the mobile subscribers within their network. GroomerII can be said to provide any-to-any protocol conversion, being able to convert and route calls between many different protocols at the same time. This can be seen in the diagram on the right, where GroomerII provides IP access to the contact center platform, while at the same time providing ISDN access to the outbound dialer platform. As mentioned, in this deployment, redundant SS7 signaling links are provided on each chassis. The chassis themselves are independent. This means that if any signaling links fail on one chassis, calls can continue on the other chassis, so the other gateways will be unaffected. This provides added resilience in the case of failure on either side of the network. GroomerII itself contains a number of advanced trunk monitoring features. Your remote monitoring service can be informed of any failures on trunks by SNMP, so if they go out of service, you'll be notified. And also, remote alarms can be mapped between different telephony ports, so different protocols on GroomerII, enabling far-end equipment to be notified of failures within other parts of the disparate network. Over the years, Aculab has worked on a number of global projects where Tetra radio platforms have required connectivity into the public telephone network. These projects have been undertaken both directly with customers and indirectly through our partner resellers. One such example, with Nokia's mobile radio division, required integration between their legacy CAS connectivity to their Tetra platform and the ETS300 circuit connecting into the PSTN. This was made possible by GroomerII. The ability to connect the Tetra radio network into the public telephone network improves the communications ability of emergency services and municipal staff, as well as providing better coverage and functionality through increased cooperation in emergency situations. Again, we can see this in this diagram. Here you can see this deployment was a straightforward protocol conversion between CAS connectivity into the Tetra network on the left and ETS300 on the right into the public telecoms network. During the project with Nokia, Aculab Professional Services were able to provide training as well as on-site installation and configuration assistance of GroomerII units, and this was provided during the initial rollout. Due to the scale of this project, by its completion, Nokia engineers were proficient in both installation and troubleshooting of GroomerII gateways themselves, enabling them to undertake full installation of the GroomerII gateway in the knowledge that if they had any issues, they could call on Aculab's support service facility. As mentioned previously by Ian, one of GroomerII's strengths is its use as an SS7 to SIP media gateway, which is a growing use case, particularly within the next generation 911 and 112 arenas. In one such deployment, we worked alongside Cincinnati Bell, a US telecoms network provider, and their partner Microdata, now TCS, to deploy GroomerIIs within their own network. GroomerII provides connectivity between their core SS7 network and their next generation Emergency Services 911 SIP network, otherwise known as ESINet. Prior to this deployment taking place, we assisted with extensive interoperability testing within Cincinnati Bell's lab environment. This provided them with the reassurance of GroomerII's resilient capabilities within such a mission-critical environment. Through this work, Aculab have also become avid contributors to both the ENA and NENA standards groups, which outline the standards for use within the next generation emergency services network, both here in Europe and over in the USA. Here you could see a diagram of part of the deployment, where GroomerII's gateways, again in the middle, provide connectivity between the core SS7 network on the left and the selective routers in the SIP ESINet on the right, which provide call distribution for the public safety answering points, the people who answer the emergency services call. As well as providing redundant signaling links within each chassis, this deployment makes use of Aculab's unique dual redundant MTP3 feature. This enables SS7 signaling to be shared across multiple chassis via IP. This means that if all SS7 links were to fail in one GroomerII gateway, bearers within that gateway would still be able to take calls using the SS7 signaling link provided in other GroomerII gateways. Within the next generation emergency services deployments, it's mandated that certain information, such as location identifiers and telephone types, landlines or mobiles, for example, must be passed between the SS7 and SIP networks. GroomerII supports these requirements, which in turn ensures that the emergency services operators are able to dispatch the correct emergency services to the correct location. We're now going to look at a number of enhanced deployment examples, which show how through Aculab's change request process, GroomerII can be adapted to meet customers' needs. During the change request process, a member of Aculab's professional services department works with the customer to fully understand and spec out their requirements. Once the specification is then outlined and agreed, the deployment work can be undertaken. Once completed, the new functionality is rolled into all main GroomerII products, meaning it's available to all customers. In this first case study, NSF Telecom provide a solution which automates all departures of freight and passenger trains within the Finnish railway network. Rail personnel are able to leave notification of readiness to leave via an IVR platform. They are then provided with a pre-recorded notification that information has been passed on to the railway traffic control system. The deployment had a requirement to interconnect between their SIP-based IVR platform and the Finnish railway communications network, which uses GSMR SS7, an SS7 standard used extensively within the railway industry. The integration between GSMR and SIP networks required the passing of certain user-to-user information from SS7 to SIP. The ability to pass this information was added into GroomerII following the specification. Here you can see GroomerII again sits in the middle, converting between the GSMR network on the left and SIP network on the right. The passing of the required user-to-user information from the SS7 network to the SIP network was undertaken following the GSMR specification. This was done by Aculab's feature request procedure. These procedures enable Aculab to react to customer-specific requirements, giving the ability for GroomerII to be used in a wide and varied number of deployment scenarios. And as mentioned, these additional features are added to the main Groomer product, meaning all customers are able to gain access to such features. In this mission-critical air traffic control deployment, our customer required routing of calls between ISDN and a legacy CAS system. The routing decisions needed to be based on the destination subaddress provided in the ISDN call. In this case, calls routed from ISDN to CAS, Groomer selected the trunk used for the outgoing CAS call based on the subaddress in the inbound ISDN setup message. In the reverse direction, CAS to ISDN, CAS does not support subaddress. Therefore, GroomerII identifies the trunk on which the CAS call originated, then inserts a pre-configured subaddress associated with that port into the outbound ISDN setup message. The subaddresses used for each installation are provisioned via GroomerII's user interface when installed. So in this diagram, we can see GroomerII gateways, again in the middle, interrogating the subaddress in the inbound ISDN call to determine where to route the outbound CAS calls, making sure calls are directed to the correct operator on the left. In the reverse direction, the ports again are CAS, and the CAS calls originated are used and interrogated based on the port, and the correct ISDN subaddress is inserted in the outgoing ISDN call. This bespoke development really shows how GroomerII can be tailored to meet a specific need, enabling equipment which uses legacy protocols to interwork with newer systems. Now moving on to this final case study. During the feasibility of a large 911 deployment, it became apparent that load balancing of SIP calls within the network was required. This was done so that call load could be distributed between multiple SIP routers within the network, which themselves could distribute calls to the emergency services operators. Here you can see how the SIP call routing functionality with GroomerII was enhanced to enable it to distribute calls in a round-robin basis to a list of SIP gateways. To provide resilience, the SIP gateways are constantly monitored by a use of SIP options, and if no response to the SIP options message is received, that gateway is assumed to be unavailable, and hence no further calls will be sent to the gateway until it comes back online. Within GroomerII SIP gateway configuration, it's also possible to set a maximum call capacity for each gateway, ensuring network capacity is not exceeded. Third-party monitoring systems can also be notified when gateways become unavailable or near full capacity via SNMP, enabling the relevant personnel to take any action that they deem required. To enhance this functionality further, we also enabled the configuration of multiple gateway groups for call distribution. A primary gateway group is defined and calls a load balance between the gateways within this group, as can be seen in the top right of the slide. Multiple alternative gateway groups may also be defined to be used in case of failure situations. These gateway groups will be used when all gateways in the primary group are found to be unavailable through monitoring via SIP options, or they're at full capacity. This allows calls to be routed to backup gateways at times of failure or at times of high call load. Calls will be handled once again by the primary gateway group once they become available. I hope these case studies have provided you with an insight into both our pedigree within the TDM to IP gateway market, but also into how, as a company, we can reactively work with you to facilitate your needs within many market areas. We're now going to open the floor to questions. So if you have any questions, then please type them into the chat box on the left.
Hello there, this is Walter again. In going through the questions that they came in, I'd like to start with a couple of them here. That is, could be described as the following. How many product variants do we offer for this device? Well, the answer is we have 7 variants, 3 in the 1U format, always in 19 inches rack format, and 4 in the 2U format, plus the DC versions available as well in the 2U unit that we just said. So we'll make 8 plus 3, 11 in total. Yeah, another one that came in is regarding training. Do we offer trainings on these products? Yes, we do. We are relatively flexible actually in where we offer them, because we can have them at your own premises and talking specifically about your own specific problems locally, or at our UK premises, UK intended to be Milton Keynes, that is an hour north of London. what kind of pricing point do you start with? Well, this is something that is probably going to be discussed offline because we offer a very simple approach of discount on quantities, project-based type, yeah? And by all means, come back to me after this event if you have some specific project that you wanted to chase with our technology. Right. Can I test one? Do you offer lab test units offering? Well, there has been a request of such a approach by our end. We can have probably special discounts for units to buy. We tend not to offer boxes on loan because we see this as a cumbersome type of activity to handle. However, we are also prepared to offer pre-sale support activities where we can come along with a box ourselves and set it up, or offer remote testing because we have remote testing capabilities here in the offices in Milton Keynes. Can you expand the product configuration in the field after it has been purchased? Well, we choose all-in type of approach, and we do not offer in-field enhancement. However, there is always the possibility to look into more details if you have a specific request on this particular area. But we know that by experience, it can be cumbersome to do it if you're not trained properly. Do we offer media transcoding on our products, on our gateway, GroomerII? Yes, we do, because ultimately these devices are based on other type of technologies that we are calling media telephony cards, and we have packaged these capabilities in a box that is for you easy to handle. But yes, we do. Something else? Oh yeah, right. Maybe something that is interesting for you to know for after sales type of matters and bidding processes. How much warranty do we offer on these devices? We offer 12 months, 1 year warranty. Let me see if something else is coming in. Right. Any more questions from the audience? Right. One that came in at the last minute, because probably here it says, I've seen that you are handling or you are dealing with the Tetra type of communication in one of the slides that has been put together. And can you handle P25, notoriously known as an American kind of style network? The answer is from the, how can I say, commercial point of view, yes, in terms of not interfering with the transcoding activity that this device can do, but just passing through the network. Yes, we could handle it in the same way that we handle Tetra. But please, again, if you have P25 related opportunities, don't let them go, and think about us and contact our pre-sales team. Anything more? Well, if not, I will move into the all right, yeah, absolutely. Just been recommended that just don't worry if you miss something, if you have some area that you may have not understood completely in the case studies on the Ian speech. All of this will be available in a recorded format for you to go through, and by the way, to share with colleagues that may have not have time or possibility to attend the today's session. So just to wrap it up, I wanted to reinforce inevitably why us, why this product and not the competitors, because we are not so fool to think that we are unique. We know that we are in a competitive world with these devices. I think that from our point of view, we presented to you that we have some strength. We have an undisputed reputation at global level since many, many years across the planet in different environments, different type of customers and applications. With extended references, we have a deep experience in dealing with mission-critical applications in the emergency service markets that you all, or some of you operate or chase, because we are an INA and a NINA, American active member. If you don't know what are these two organizations, INA stands for 112 Emergency Services and NINA for 911 in the US. But then above all, we are really keen to listen to you and adapt and enhance our strategy accordingly. Right. So why the GroomerII? Well, it's a multi-protocol signaling and media gateway. It optimizes for SS7 to SIP call routing, multiple deployment proven protocol stacks. It's a versatile, effective problem solver. You heard about the Swiss knife and the flexibility that this device can offer. Any-to-any connectivity between legacy and next generation IP networks. It's a cost-effective SS7 breakout to VoIP networks. Please be so kind to challenge us on pricing point, and we will be keen to embrace the opportunity. It's an extension of legacy networks towards SIP-based added value services that nowadays are pretty much what is the trend. We know that there are areas in the world that are more active than others in terms of SS7, but SS7 is not only one of the pluses of these devices. As you heard earlier on, there are dual redundancy, there are high density capabilities. So there are a number of things that this device can offer. And with this said, I think that I wanted to thank you all for attending to this webinar. The three guys that you heard talking is myself. So Walter Emanuel at Aculab.com is where you can contact me. Likewise, Ian and David, or pre-sales at Aculab.com. Please visit our website where there are lots of case studies, much more in detail than what we describe, with more information. You can have the spec of the product. You can go through the codec that we haven't had the time to mention, and so on. So by all means, please come back to us if you are not certain of having grasped everything. And again, thank you very much for attending at this session. Look forward to talk with you soon with a nice opportunity to prove our technology. Thank you very much all.